Hello everyone, Suey here. I'm a bit late to my June wrap-up and my July TBR because I've been out of town doing the grandkid thing in Oregon. Yes, we hung out there with my daughter for a week and a half. She's just had a baby, so we met the baby. And then the rest of the family joined us and we went to the coast for a couple of days, rented a big Airbnb, hung out there for a little bit. It was very hot, not used to the coast, the Oregon coast being hot. That's where we spent the 4th of July. And now we are back home and I'm ready to kind of jump back in on all the things, booktubing and otherwise. So I feel a little bit out of practice, but here we go. June, let's talk about what I read in June. Only 4 books, and 2 of them were the audiobooks that I listened to on the way to Oregon. The first one was Good Omens by Terry Pratchett and Neil Gaiman. We read for book club. This is a book I've been wanting to get to for a long time, and we finally voted in for our book club and read it for our June book. Very interesting book. I don't even know how to describe it really. Quickly, it's about 2 guys, one's an angel, one's a demon, and they are commissioned with getting the apocalypse or the Armageddon going by delivering the Antichrist to his family when he's a baby. But they mess up. So then, when it's time for all the things to start happening, things aren't happening quite like they expected because the baby is in the wrong place and has had an upbringing that has kind of changed him a little bit. And so things aren't going quite right. All this crazy stuff starts happening, and there's a whole bunch of other demons that are involved and some witches that are involved, and it follows all these different stories and all these different places, but they all kind of come together. I think the thing that's most appealing about this story is there's so many snarky things in it and references and silly stuff. A lot of it I probably missed, a lot of it most readers might miss because it's sort of inside jokes between the authors, I think, and British humor. And but a lot of it you do catch also, and it is pretty funny. But the banter between our angel and our demon is probably the best part about this book. I think a lot of people have mentioned that, and so I agree with that assessment. It does get a little bit boggy downy a little bit in spots. So sometimes it's just a little bit too weird, but it's a fun weird. So I don't know. I guess it kind of depends on your mood. You know what I mean? It's one of those books. Then on the way to Oregon, I listened to Beyond the Wand by Tom Felton, which is his memoir about being Draco Malfoy in the Harry Potter series, and kind of how he started getting into acting as a kid and how he just sort of fell into this role, and then how he made it his own, how his grandfather is the one that taught him how to sneer. The Draco Malfoy sneer is his grandfather. How his grandfather was actually what's it called? An extra in some of the movies because he looks like a wizard. He looks like he fits right into Hogwarts as a professor. So he is in a lot of scenes as an extra, the grandfather. And so he talks about a lot about his relationships with the different people in the movies and some fun behind the scenes stories in the movies. Makes me want to watch all those movies again. He didn't even know what Harry Potter was when he was cast. He had never read them. He had never heard of them. Silly boy. But then it also goes on to talk about his kind of hitting rock bottom because he has a bit of depression in his family that he inherited, and he started drinking too much, and he talks about how his friends and family intervened and sent him to a rehab place, and he walked out of the rehab place with nothing but the clothes on his back and was just walking along the beach and trying to run away from the rehab place and get back home, basically, and how certain people helped him along the way that he called his guardian angels or something. I can't remember what he called them now. So that he basically didn't die. Anyway, it's so crazy to me that people that are this famous and become, they're in the biggest movies of all time, basically, and in the biggest story, and anyway, how their lives still fall apart. Every single celebrity memoir I read, their lives always fall apart, always. Maybe that's why they write the memoir. The ones whose lives don't fall apart, they don't have a memoir to write because you have to have that rock bottom story in your life to write a memoir. I don't know. I would love to read a celebrity memoir someday where it's a happy story. Is there such a thing? Let me know if you know of one. So he tells about his kind of downfall and how he gathered himself back up again and is all good and well today for the most part. I got to see him at Comic-Con in our city. We have to call it FanX. Anyway, I got to see him several years ago, and he was an absolute joy to listen to. He was so fun, completely opposite of Draco Malfoy. So it was fun to have seen him in real life and then be reading this book. And I also did get a picture. Maybe I'll find it and stick it up here. We had a picture op credit thing. And so I chose to get a picture with the dude that played his dad, Lucius Malfoy, in Harry Potter. And he tells lots of stories about him and how he considers him his dad in real life also. He was fun to meet also. Yes. So let me see if I can find that picture. So that's my little tie-in to Draco and Tom and Lucius and Harry Potter. Then I also listened to Zachary Levi's book called Radical Love, another story about his hitting rock bottom and his really complicated relationship with his mom, which is so sad. And he kind of jumps all over the place in his book, talks about how he started, getting into acting too. They all tell us the stories of how they got where they became famous, but he struggled so much, and his whole premise is that all he was trying to do in all of the stuff he was doing that we see was trying to make people laugh because that made him feel better. That's the only way he could survive and cope. And he hit a really bad rock bottom. And I actually got to see him last year at our Comic-Con /FanX thing. And he was amazing to listen to. He needs to go around and do like a pep you up speech circuit and talk to everyone and tell everyone how awesome they are. So his big push is self-love, and that we need to love ourselves no matter what. Yeah, he was amazing. So it was fun to read or listen to his book. It's very gut-wrenching and sad, but also very uplifting and inspiring. And then when I got to Oregon, we went to the library one day, and my 8-year-old granddaughter is fascinated right now with the little middle grade graphic novels, kind of like Wimpy Kid books and Dog Days books, those kinds of things. So we browsed the shelf where all those books are at, and she ended up grabbing a Raina Telgemeier book called Guts, and I've read Smile, and I think there's one in between that I haven't read, Sisters maybe, and then Guts. So she sat down and read it in a couple hours, and so I said, I'm going to read this one too, and so I did the same thing and read that one while we were there, and I'm counting it towards my book number this month. Guts by Raina Telgemeier. Her stories are kind of autobiographical. She makes them seem like fiction, but I think it's basically her just telling her stories, because she's the character in the novel, and she's talking about how she just started feeling sick a lot while she was in the 4th grade, I think it was, and then ended up going to therapy and ended up learning that she had really massive anxiety, a little bit of OCD about certain things. I can't remember if she was specific about that, but just kind of having to deal with anxiety and panic attacks and stuff like that as a 10-year-old. And she just tells it in this really great, relatable way for kids, and I thought it was awesome. So I enjoyed sticking that one into my little reading lineup this past month. I tried to read while I was on vacation, but I did not get much reading done. It was really hard to concentrate, which is what I've told you before. It's kind of hard for me to concentrate when lots of other things are going on. For July, I just want to keep working on what I've started. This one is kind of high on the list. I found this one in a little free library while we were in Oregon, and it's one I've been wanting to read for a long time, so I snagged it up quickly, and I'm about halfway through it. I will finish that one shortly, hopefully. A lot of people have read this one probably. It's about what would happen if all of a sudden everyone knew when they were going to die, basically. People get a string. It tells people how long they're going to live, and then the repercussions in the world when people know when everyone's going to die, and how the people who have short strings are becoming discriminated against. So that's basically the premise of this one, told from several different points of view. I'm kind of getting a little bit bogged down by the kind of the politicalness of it. I would really love to get more into the personal stories of everyone, but I feel like maybe we're getting there. I don't know. Anyway, that's that one. Working on, big fat books for Big Book Summer. In theory, it sounds really great to read big books in the summer, but I'm also struggling to focus, so we'll see. But I started this one while on vacation. I'm only like 24 pages in, but the premise is really interesting from what I can tell so far. And so I would love to keep going on this one, but it is a little overwhelming. So we'll see how that one goes. And then I did get a good start of this into this one, The Distant Hours by Kate Morton. I'm on 116. I just hauled it with me on vacation, but then I just couldn't concentrate. It's kind of, I'm hitting a slow spot again. It started out really great, but then I'm just hitting the slow spot going, oh, something needs to happen. Maybe I'll keep giving it a try. I don't know. So those are the 3 that I'm kind of working on for July. Book club this month is memoir month, so I've caught that covered with all the memoirs I listened to. And I don't know what else I would think I would work on. So yeah, it's a real small little list for me to work on. That's my little wrap up for June and my looking forward to July, which, what are we already, a weekend, more than a weekend? Whew, time is going by so fast. I need to take a breath and make everything slow down a bit. Okay, I'm gonna go catch up on some other things. So look for all those videos that I'm gonna do. Until then, happy reading. Bye.